It happened in less than 15 minutes. A weathered garage that everyone laughed at was sold for less than the price of a used lawn mower. The woman who signed the papers walked away believing she had finally erased the last reminder of her failed marriage. 3 weeks later, surveyors arrived, drilling equipment rolled across the cracked pavement, and a discovery buried beneath that forgotten patch of land turned it into one of the most valuable properties in the entire county. By the time she realized what she had thrown away, the garage she had dismissed as worthless sat on land valued at more than $90 million, but the greatest loss she suffered had nothing to do with money. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue sharing heartfelt stories that remind us what truly matters. For nearly 20 years, Everett Nolan had lived with grease beneath his fingernails and quiet determination inside his heart. He never dreamed of luxury. He simply wanted honest work, a peaceful home, and enough savings to send his daughter to college. His little repair garage sat on the edge of a sleepy American town where everyone knew everyone else's business. The building was old, the roof leaked during heavy rain, and the faded sign had not been replaced in years because every extra dollar went toward raising his daughter, Hazel. Customers trusted Everett because he never charged for repairs people didn't need. He fixed broken trucks for farmers, old sedans for retired teachers, and delivery vans for struggling local businesses. Some people even joked that Everett was too honest to become rich. His marriage to Corinne had once been filled with laughter, but years of financial pressure slowly turned hope into resentment. Corinne wanted a faster life. She dreamed of expensive vacations, designer furniture, and social circles filled with wealthy people. Every time Everett refused to cut corners or cheat customers for larger profits, another argument followed. She believed kindness could never compete with ambition. Everett believed success without integrity was failure in disguise. Eventually the marriage collapsed. Their divorce was painful but respectful on paper. Because lawyers encouraged a quick settlement, several small properties acquired during the marriage remained jointly owned until they could be sold later. One forgotten asset was the old garage property, which Everett continued operating while legal paperwork remained incomplete. Neither imagined it would ever matter. Hazel stayed with Everett most of the time. She admired the way her father treated every customer with dignity, whether they drove a luxury SUV or an old pickup barely held together with rust and hope. She often helped sweep the garage floor after school and studied engineering textbooks while sitting beside stacks of worn tires. Everett always apologized that he could not give her a glamorous childhood, but Hazel insisted she already had everything she needed because she had a father who never lied and never gave up. Meanwhile, Corinne reinvented herself. She joined exclusive social clubs, posted smiling photographs from expensive restaurants, and became engaged to a wealthy real estate investor named Preston, whose confidence often crossed into arrogance. Preston viewed Everett as an unsuccessful mechanic who had wasted Corinne's best years. Whenever the old garage came up in conversation, he laughed at it, calling it an eyesore occupying useless land. One afternoon Preston suggested clearing away the remaining legal ties with Everett once and for all. A local investor offered a small amount for the garage property, intending to use it for equipment storage. Without consulting Everett properly or investigating the property's future potential, Corinne accepted the offer through a legal process that allowed her to finalize the jointly managed asset after certain procedural requirements were met. She celebrated the sale, convinced she had finally removed the last stain from her previous life. Friends congratulated her for getting rid of what they considered worthless land. Everett learned about the completed sale through official paperwork delivered by mail. For several minutes he simply stared at the documents. The building where he had spent half his life would soon belong to someone else. He felt less anger than sadness. Every bolt tightened, every engine rebuilt, every lesson taught to Hazel had happened within those faded walls. Still, he refused to fight with bitterness. He packed his tools carefully and began searching for a smaller workshop to rent. Hazel watched her father carry old toolboxes into a borrowed trailer. She expected tears but instead saw him gently pat the cracked doorway one final time, thanking the building for sheltering their dreams. That quiet gesture stayed with her forever. Only weeks later, the impossible happened. State geologists working alongside a major development consortium released findings from an expanded regional survey connected to transportation and commercial development. Beneath several adjoining parcels, including the former garage property, lay extraordinarily valuable mineral rights and strategic development potential. Combined with planned infrastructure expansion, the land's estimated market value exploded past $90 million almost overnight. News helicopters circled overhead during bright afternoon skies. Reporters filled local streets. Investors arrived in luxury vehicles. The once forgotten neighborhood suddenly became the hottest real estate market in the state. Corinne froze when she watched the news. The address displayed across television screens was unmistakable. The garage, the same garage she had rushed to sell for pennies compared with its true value. Shock quickly turned into panic. Preston contacted attorneys, convinced there had to be a way to reverse the transaction. Every legal expert delivered the same devastating conclusion. The sale had been completed legally before the discovery became public. There was no fraud, no hidden knowledge, and no legal basis to reclaim the property. For the first time in years, Corinne stopped blaming everyone else. She realized she had never cared enough to ask questions. She had dismissed Everett's life, his work, and even the land itself simply because it looked ordinary, but fate still had another surprise waiting. The buyer who had purchased the garage was a retired school principal named Roland Mercer. Roland had bought it simply because he wanted storage space for antique farming equipment. Overnight he found himself unexpectedly wealthy beyond imagination. Reporters expected Roland to celebrate his incredible fortune. Instead, he gave an interview that stunned the nation. He explained that while reviewing old records, he learned Everett had operated the garage with remarkable honesty for decades and had unknowingly improved much of the property's long-term accessibility through responsible maintenance. Roland admitted he had done nothing to deserve such overwhelming wealth. After long conversations with his family, he announced he would establish scholarships, fund hospitals, restore neglected parks, and create grants for struggling tradespeople. Then he quietly did something almost no one expected. He offered Everett a leadership position overseeing a charitable vocational training center that would be built on nearby land using part of the proceeds. Roland explained that someone who spent his life helping others without expecting recognition was exactly the kind of person young apprentices needed as a mentor. Everett accepted only after ensuring the program would remain affordable for working families. Months passed beneath bright afternoon sunshine as construction crews transformed empty fields into classrooms, workshops, and training facilities where teenagers learned mechanical skills, welding, engineering basics, and ethical business practices. Hazel received one of the first engineering scholarships funded by Roland's foundation. She graduated with honors and returned home determined to design environmentally friendly transportation systems that would create jobs instead of replacing them. Meanwhile, Preston's investment empire began crumbling. Several risky developments failed, and the lavish lifestyle he had flaunted disappeared almost as quickly as it had arrived. Friends who once surrounded him vanished. Corinne discovered that relationships built around appearances rarely survived hardship. One warm afternoon she drove past the new vocational campus. She saw Everett laughing with apprentices while showing a nervous young student how to repair an old engine instead of replacing expensive parts unnecessarily. She saw parents thanking him because their children had found purpose after years of struggling. For several minutes she remained inside her car, unable to move. She finally understood something money had never taught her. Everett had always been building wealth, not financial wealth, human wealth, trust, character, hope. She gathered enough courage to walk toward him. Everett noticed her immediately. Years earlier, anger might have hardened his expression. Instead, time had softened old wounds. Corinne apologized without excuses. She admitted she had measured people by possessions instead of principles. She confessed that losing the $90 million opportunity hurt deeply, but realizing she had spent years overlooking the goodness standing beside her hurt even more. Everett listened quietly. He remembered sleepless afternoons worrying about bills, the painful divorce, and packing away memories inside worn cardboard boxes. Yet he also remembered every lesson he wanted Hazel to learn about forgiveness. He chose peace instead of revenge. He told Corinne that bitterness only keeps old chains locked around both people. Forgiveness does not rewrite history, but it allows tomorrow to begin without carrying yesterday's weight. Corinne cried harder than she had in years. Their relationship would never return to marriage, nor should it. Some chapters are meant to end. But respect slowly replaced resentment. They learned to celebrate Hazel's accomplishments together without reopening old arguments. As the years unfolded, the vocational center expanded across several neighboring towns. Thousands of young people discovered careers because one honest mechanic believed every person deserved another chance. Roland's foundation continued funding hospitals, scholarships, community workshops, and emergency assistance programs. The miraculous fortune hidden beneath forgotten soil became a blessing shared by countless strangers. Visitors often asked Everett whether he regretted losing ownership before the discovery. He would smile gently and explain that life had already given him everything truly valuable. He had a daughter who made him proud every day. He had work that mattered. He had friends who respected him. And now he had the opportunity to help thousands of young people build honest futures. Money could have made him comfortable, purpose made him fulfilled. Corinne eventually volunteered at scholarship events organized by the foundation. She personally encouraged struggling single parents never to underestimate quiet people working ordinary jobs because greatness often hides beneath humble appearances, just as unimaginable treasure had once rested beneath an aging garage everyone ignored. Before we reach the end of this journey, take a moment to leave a meaningful comment telling us what lesson spoke to your heart the most. Was it the power of forgiveness, the importance of humility, or the reminder that true wealth is measured by character rather than possessions? Your words may encourage someone else who needs hope today. As another sunny afternoon settled over the thriving campus, Everett watched graduates cross the courtyard carrying toolboxes instead of trophies. Their smiles reflected futures they once believed impossible. Hazel stood beside him, now mentoring students herself, proving that kindness passed from one generation to the next grows stronger instead of weaker. Everett realized that the greatest treasure had never been buried beneath the land. It had always been buried inside ordinary hearts waiting for the chance to choose compassion over resentment, honesty over shortcuts, and forgiveness over pride. The forgotten garage had disappeared, but the values built inside its worn walls would outlive every building, every fortune, and every headline. Some people inherit millions. Others leave behind a legacy that cannot be counted. Everett had managed to do both without ever chasing either. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this story remind you that what looks small today may hold unimaginable blessings tomorrow, and that the richest life will always belong to the person whose heart remains generous, humble, and ready to forgive.